Okay, welcome to iMovie editing. In this section, we're going to look at some um, titles. Those come in handy at the beginning, usually, and at the end of a movie. They can also be used in the pinch to do um, uh, caption subtitling, but I would not recommend that. There are better ways to do captioning using YouTube Studio because you can save all the typing that goes into putting subtitles in manually by using YouTube's own or pretty much automatic captioning service, and then editing the file that you can extract from it to do the captions and at least bring them up to par for the grammar and for punctuation. So titles in iMovie I would only use for the front end of the film and for the end, for the credits. Um, if you look here at the tab called titles, there are quite a few different scenarios. So if you click on any one of them, you can see what it does. If I drag my mouse through it, I'm not clicking, I'm just dragging my mouse. This one sort of comes at you, enlarges. This one is basically bottom left, just staying there. This one is expanding horizontally. Here's the one that stays in the bottom right and also expands. Here's one that expands a bit more bold, and so on. This one just appears, right? So there are lots of options. This one is a serif font. I would actually recommend to go with the sans serif fonts. Like if I click on this one and I double click this, you get it selected and you can see what font it is. This is Avenir Light. You can make this anything you want to from this collection of fonts on your computer. Again, I recommend something like Helvetica. Avenir Light is quite good too, but don't go crazy with the sort of stylistic fonts. I would keep it simple because anything that's an Avenir font or Helvetica font, those are easier to read on the screen when the fonts are smaller. Also, when you compress the film later on to make it smaller instead of the large scale size that they tend to have. So Avenir Light is fine, so we leave that one. Again, if you double click it, you can change the text. So all I did was here is to go select it and double click the title image itself, which then brings me into this window, overlays it onto whatever I am with my cursor here, and I can type in the title. So in this case, let's say I'm gonna talk about iMovie editing, and this one is about titles. And then I can do a little copyright here. I think it's Command Option G maybe. Yep, 2020 Polytekton. There we go. Now you notice that it put this title here for 4 seconds. If you want it to be longer, we can change that number by just dragging it out. So right now this would be around for 14 seconds. There it is. Sort of comes into being, but it's in the wrong place. Remember I said we wanted this probably at the beginning of the film. So what we can do is basically drag it. I'm going to make this a bit smaller, the scale. There it is. In the overall scale, I can just drag this little thing to the very beginning of the film. So now if I'm playing this from the beginning.
The region's limestone cliffs, honeycombed with painted caves.
And let's shut out Rick Steve. So I'm going to take the sound down, which we did before. And I can also take this clip and move it to the very front of it. So instead of having it sitting on top, so here it was on top, which means it's overlaid on the existing movie. I can move it all the way to the front by dragging it back there. It gets a big box and now it's by itself. So this is probably the preferred way to do titles. Basically that you have them at the beginning of the film and they're in their own black box. But if you want to experiment, you can have these titles also sitting on top of video by, again, dragging them to the top of the clip you wanted to have up front. Let me just stop this for a moment. Let's assume I'm using this clip, 8 seconds, and I want to have it at the very beginning. And I want to have my titles clip be playing on top of that. All I had to do was drag it up there, play, and here's my title. You notice by in the playback it's a bit choppy because iMovie is basically rendering right now the title on top of the existing video footage. So just be aware that it might take a little while if you have a laptop or a machine that's not so powerful. The choppiness will disappear once you render it out and once you export this film clip. You also want to have some credits at the end. So for that, we might look around and see what we have for credits. You have scrolling credits here at the end. We can use those. Again, I can double click them, or I can also just drag this to the very end. 10 seconds. The text isn't very good, so I probably want to have, again, not the, I don't want to have the, whatever it was before, but I want this Avenir light. I don't really want an outline, so I can go to that. Probably bold is fine. So, and then you basically just double click it and say, titles, credits. This is Avenir heavy now, and we are saying Leonard Cohen. And I guess the tab, not a good idea, so gotta go back. Basically double click each of them. As himself. Looks like we also had Rick Steves as himself. And maybe we had, I think Bob Dylan was there too. Himself. Mostly. And then if you don't want these here, we can take these out. So all I'll do is select them and delete. And a couple more down here. There we go. So if you want to see what this transition looks like, I zoomed in a little bit here. I'm going to go to the very end. Then the title credits, they just scroll up and disappear. That's sort of a nice ending. And it's black on black. So you can also use this one to fade to black with the transition. So there's like a fade to black right there. That would probably make a nicer transition. There we go. Now it's the titles. And you can also, of course, fade to white if you have a white background. All right, that was editing using the titles in iMovie.